You know, I've been thinking about talking about the night people and the accounts from the book, and I don't know if it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing, but woodland setting is not where a lot of these things happened, but I'm going to do it just the same, and we shall see how it's received. Come on, Bob. Hello everyone. Hey up. Come on. If you want to sit up here, you can. Sit there. Wait. Sit. Hi everyone. I'm back again. 16th of November. And I told you about Sarah's MIB encounter, which were documented in The Night People. My own story of mine and my family's experiences with beings of unknown origin. So I'm going to read another one. It's called No Love and Light, Just Scars in the Night. Okay? The last time I remember them coming for me with intent was between August 1997 and February 1998. When I say they came with intent, by that I mean they left me with undeniable physical scars. However, the wounds left on my back and arms were nowhere near as painful as the torment left inside my head after the abductions. The frustration of knowing it happened and at the same time being powerless to stop it is a feeling of vulnerability like no other. Well, it was for me. The world is in denial. Most of the population believe beings like the night people don't exist, or that they don't belong anywhere except in the minds of crazy people. And I have to include myself in that category. It does not matter what a person thinks or says. This phenomena cannot be outthought, it cannot be outmaneuvered. It is simply impossible to avoid. So now we'll jump into the story. Mary and I loved going out at weekends after working hard all week. Those days back in the 90s felt like good times to be alive, and we were making the most of them. I suppose we were in that transitional stage in our lives, a place between getting older but still young enough to go out and have great fun. I think we've all done that, haven't we? We've all lived that kind of life. Our girls were all becoming independent young women, and although they still lived at home, we no longer needed the luxury of babysitters. For that reason, we always look forward to the weekend. Okay, by looking through my medical notes, I can even date when most of the incidents happened. One of them was in the early hours of Saturday, the 27th of September 1997. I wonder if everything that happens has already been decided. Everyone's highs, everyone's lows. Or did they instinctively know that Saturday, the 27th, was the day they had to come? Do we all have a calendar of moments? If that's the case, could living in ignorance be a kindness? In a way, it could be, couldn't it? It depends how we want to perceive it. Something tells me they must have had advanced knowledge. How else could they have known I was not in an environment where it would have been hard or even impossible for them to take me? Perhaps in their world nothing is random. Perhaps they create the script and the environment for all of us. Some crazy things to think about here, people. The night people. Holding on to that thought is a frightening concept to come to terms with. I truly believe that the subtitle of Truth Proof 2, Beyond the Thinking Mind, is a clue. I have observed that all of the most amazing experiences have occurred when I least expected them. Does that ring true for you guys as well, listening to this? During the hours of darkness, or when the mind is detached from reality, or moments when I stepped away from everyday life and all its trappings. These are the times when my mind is not locked into everyday life. Yeah, don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Bob? Let's get that off your face. On this occasion, we did not go to bed until late, after 1 a.m. to be exact. It had been a great night full of fun and laughter. Our bedroom was on the first floor at the back of the house. Now, did you hear that? Strange. Let's have a look. Our bedroom was on the first floor at the back of the house. Another noise then. Okay. I'm not imagining that, am I? Try one more time. Right, let's have a look. Our bedroom was on the first floor at the back of the house. At some point during the night, I recall seeing lights outside the bedroom window, which was odd. We never usually saw anything like that. Not like these lights. There are houses at the back of us, but they are a good distance away, and nothing was so bright that it could light up the inside of the bedroom. For some reason, I just lay there watching them, a bit like a rabbit caught in headlights. I see now that this is how the process works, but I was not switched on enough to realise at the time. In truth, you know, people, I don't think we ever are. I were always going to be ready, but I never was. A bit like the rabbit seconds before the bullet hits it between the eyes. I would describe the lights as bright as a car headlights on full beam if they were turning in the road and hitting the curtains. There were no roads behind our home, and these lights were moving around the walls like spinning wheels. What I remember is still as vivid today as what it was back in 1997. The saddest part is that I only remember part of something that I know was much more detailed. I've said this many times, I've only got fragments, little cameos of events, and these are what you're getting in the night, people. That is why these recollections are so frustrating. They are just different to anything else we as humans experience. I saw their outlines at the bottom of the bed, two of them, sort of appearing in and out of the light. I couldn't see any sharp detail, just their dark shapes. Then nothing, just a huge gap where the night seemed to jump into the next set of memories. Suddenly a sharp, fast pain ripped into my back. I remember it hurting so much that I screamed. And truly I did. I can remember this like it were yesterday. But I never heard the scream, not outside of my head. I know that I was awake and that I screamed, but no sound came out of my mouth. How does that work? Did the silent scream detach me from whatever it was that they did to subdue me? All questions. We're just feeling around in dark, people. We've truly got no idea. With my ability to move or make any audible sound silenced, I just lay there wondering what had happened. My back hurt so much that I had temporarily forgotten about seeing anything earlier. I think I was in bed. At least that's what my mind was telling me. But my whole body felt strange. I'm not sure if the pain was being masked. Once again, I'm attempting to describe something with inadequate words, because nothing really compares to the way I was feeling. Therefore, all I can do is offer the closest comparison I can think of, and that would be that my whole body felt numb. It was similar to when the blood supply is temporarily cut off to, let's just get this, to an arm or a leg. It just feels different until life pours back into it. That is how my entire body felt. The pain would not allow me to gather my thoughts. My mind was all over the place at the time. I actually thought I had been stabbed in the back with a knife. Then I realized what was happening. They were here, and they were responsible for the pain. I began saying the words, try and remember, try not to forget, remember as much as possible. I wanted to move, but I couldn't. My back felt as though it had been impaled on a spike. The only things not paralyzed were my eyes and my mind. And my head was so confused by the information my eyes were receiving that everything else, that was me, had been disabled. I wonder if they take the information directly through our eyes. Could that be one of the reasons for leaving that part of me conscious during the abduction? I know none of this, people. I'm just throwing it out there. Let's have a look. Alternatively, was the pain inflicted enough to snap me from the situation? I'm sure everything done through the entire process is for their benefit. Or I would see and remember more. All of us would. I don't think any of us are meant to remember anything, you know. Suddenly fear replaced the pain, or the pain subsided, I don't know. I don't have a clue in what order it happened, if I'm honest. I was scared to death. Maybe I forgot the pain, because suddenly I was reduced to feeling like that little boy who used to cry in the night in that little council house in Old Deneby. None of it makes sense. Mary was beside me the whole time. Could she have really slept through it? I would not have thought so. So how do they do it? Either Mary was subdued, or I wasn't in the bed, like I was led to believe. I think they must have removed me for a short time. I can remember seeing the lights in the bedroom and the unmistakable shapes of beings that I've come to call the night people. Then there's a break in my thread of thoughts, and the next thing I remember is opening my eyes and it being dark. Then a blinding flash of light hit me, and I must have closed them. That's all I can assume. But in that space between the dark and the light, I definitely saw them. The outlines of long, thin beings stood around me. That is why I believe I was taken somewhere else. How else could they have been either side of me if I was still in the bed? I don't know. I didn't see any detail or colour, just 4, maybe 5 dark shapes, but they were either side of me. So my way of thinking is that I couldn't have been in the bed when this was happening, even though they were making me believe I was in the bed. Does any of that make sense? At that moment, I think the night people were in my head showing me something that was not real. They manipulate because they don't want victim resistance or memories. Memories leave clues. This is the craziest part of these situations and a major part of the reason no one ever believes or understands. But you know, people are waking up. People are starting to believe. People are starting to understand that these incidents, these experiences are real. The night people. All I remember after the light hit me was the feeling of pain in my back. The message I received was that a bed spring was turning around inside of me. How crazy is that? I was conscious during this, but in a paralyzed state. And throughout this, the bed spring continued to turn even more deeply into my body. And we do know that it couldn't have been a bed spring, but that's what they were telling me. Now I realize that after the initial stabbing pain, it became a fear-based pain experience, like when going to the dentist, where the fear of what is happening overtakes the actual fear of the pain. I keep hearing noises, people. I wish I'd have put a voice recorder on. And why did I think a bed spring? At that moment, one part of my mind was convinced the bed was responsible, whilst another part was questioning the memories they were imprinting into my mind. Is it possible that the first thing I thought of when the stabbing pain hit me was a sharp bed spring? Who can say? And did they instantly know this and emphasize those thoughts into my mind, kind of reaffirming something that I had originally thought was responsible? That would make sense if these beings can read our minds. At this exact moment in time, I could literally bang my head against a wall with frustration. I have thrown every possible scenario at it, and I still don't have a clue how or who was responsible. Just call them the night people. I cannot imagine why I would be thinking bed spring. The mattress was good, everything was good quality, and it was not something I had ever previously thought. It's crazy. The experience was horrible. Whatever they did was invasive and very painful, and it must have been incredibly important for them or me. Have I got it wrong? Could they actually have been helping me? Now there's a thought. Past experience of them screams that they never do anything unless it suits them. The implement they used went deep into my body. I could feel it turning like a hard steel worm, working on something inside of me. I remember being aware that it was cold and praying the pain would stop, but the coldness was inside me. It was coming from whatever it was that they used. It was icy cold. It was definitely Saturday morning, because weekends were the only days of the week where I allowed myself the luxury of an extra hour in bed. I remember waking up to the sound of someone knocking at the front door as I lay in silence, wondering if I should get up. Then I heard the voices of the girls. They were up. Well, at least 2 of them were, because I could hear them talking. I think it was Sarah and Jess. One of them must have answered the door, but no one shouted my name, so I assumed it was one of their school friends. Moments later, I pulled back the quilt and sat on the edge of the bed. I felt a bit rough, but I knew I hadn't had lots to drink. I just felt rough. I must have woken Mary up. That or she heard someone knocking at the door, same as me. It didn't matter. She was awake, and I was not expecting to hear what she said next. Oh my God, Paul, you're not going to believe it. At that moment, silence followed her words as I just sat with my hands in my head at the side of the bed, wondering why I felt so tired. Paul, you need to look at your back. You've got holes in your back. I'm not kidding. You've got 3 holes in your back. Now, people, I will continue this, but it's going to be for another day. And me and the Bobster need to make tracks and get home. So you've just heard 1997, The Night People. And I will finish it off. Let's have a look. Pictures of holes in my back. Don't know if you can see them. And medical records. But yeah, there's at least another 10 to 15 minutes reading on that strange experience, which we will finish next time. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for listening to what I've just read from The Night People. And if you want to hear more stories of the strange and unusual out of the Truth Proof books and Night People, don't forget to press like and subscribe. Catch you next time, guys. Bye-bye.